At Marlins Park in Miami, the New York Mets play the Miami Marlins. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Mazda. Driving matters. By StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the New York Mets. By Bob's Discount Furniture, quality, choice, and untouchable value every day. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. And by Sleepy's. Sleepy's Labor Day sale is a home run. Get up to half off every mattress in the store. Well, the Mets will be sailing out of town after the game today and heading up to our nation's capital for a big series. Getting to D.C. anywhere they can. They'll miss Flipper, though. Flipper is so smart. Have a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Miami. I'm Gary Cohen. Keith Hernandez joins me in just a moment as the Mets play the rubber game of their series against the Marlins. It all started here on Friday night. The Mets were down early in this game, down 3-0, but fought their way back. Yoenis Cespedes gave the Mets the lead in the 7th inning with a 2-run homer. But the troubled part of the Mets bullpen struggled again. And the Marlins were able to take the lead in the bottom of the 7th. Mets tied it up, though, in the 9th with a 2-out rally, 3 straight hits. Kelly Johnson got the tying run home and sent the game 2 extra innings. But in the bottom of the 11th, Martin Prado, who already had 4 hits in the game, added a 5th. This scorching double down the right field line brought in Christian Yelich with the winning run. And the Marlins celebrated a 6-5, 11-inning victory. Last night, no bullpen required, and the Mets got an early lead. Travis d'Arnaud with a home run, a 3-run shot, and Wilmer Flores followed in short order with a home run of his own. Back-to-back, 4-0 Mets in the first. They added 3 in the second, and that was more than enough on this night for Bartolo Colon, the 42-year-old, going places nobody's ever been before, and even turned in a play that nobody's ever seen before. Just your routine back behind the back flip. Colon retired Ichiro Suzuki with 2 out in the 9th to complete a shutout, becoming the oldest Met ever to throw a shutout. Now a 25-game scoreless inning streak, the longest by a pitcher his age since 1967. He's been a phenomenon. The Matt Harvey story, though, has overridden this entire weekend, and now the Mets try and capture the rubber game before heading to D.C.
Well, I can't tell you, and Gary, we've been around a while. I'm sure you Met fans out there, what an important ball game that was last night for the Mets. With all the controversy swirling around, the team rose to the occasion offensively. They struck early, and Colon did a terrific job. Complete ball game, just what the Mets needed.
Well, with the possibility that Matt Harvey will be shut down before the postseason, Steven Matz becomes that much more important. Matz hasn't thrown a game in the big league since early July. This will only be his 3rd major league start, but he becomes a very important piece.
Well, you remember he had his great debut against the Reds back on June 28th. Went 7 2/3, gave up 2 runs for the win. Also went 3 for 3 in that game with 4 RBIs. He reminds me a lot, Gary, of John Matlack. He wears John Matlack's number. Hard fastball, hard curve slider, and he's got a circle change. Good command. This is a great addition to this rotation. It fortifies that starting rotation that's already heavily fortified.
The Long Islander, coming back from a partially torn lat muscle, should be able to throw 90 or so pitches this afternoon. Mets and Marlins wrap up their series. All the action on SNY. Fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com with the official daily fantasy partner of the New York Mets. Enter promo code NYM for free entry. Get to Citi Field Saturday night, October 3rd. The Mets play the Nationals, and the first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a fleece blanket courtesy of the Northwest Company. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Your T-Mobile data strong fan of the game. Photo comes from Donna Bauer, who ran into Mike Piazza. Just celebrated a birthday the other day. Nice job, Donna. Final game in South Florida for the Mets this season. Mets and Marlins, first pitch coming right up. On the mound, Granderson and Conforto and Johnson all back in there. Kevin Plawecki getting his first start since his recall. And the Mets set to go against Jared Cozart, making his first start in the big league since the 4th of July. Curtis Granderson up, and he takes the first pitch from Cozart outside, and we're underway.
Well, Cozart's had vertigo issues, been on the DL. Acquired from the Houston Astros 2014, and had a real strong finish that year for Miami, but since has not. Well, this year has been kind of a disaster.
Well, the Mets saw him at his best in late April. He hooked up against Dylan G in a game here, and it was that game that the Mets got the 3 runs in the 9th inning after Cozart threw 8 scoreless, and they played an hour and 58 minutes. That's how good Cozart was that night. But after that, the vertigo started to encroach, and he has really struggled since, just to get back to the big leagues. Granderson takes strike 3 called.
Wow.
And that's how this game begins.
That's Chris Guccione behind the plate. Wow.
And that's not a strike.
No.
Your umpiring quartet, young Mr. Guccione, who's already made his presence felt. Corey Blazer, the crew chief Jeff Nelson, and Laz Diaz, who had the plate last night. So 1 out and nobody on. Now NYN AT MIA. Cespedes 3 for 10 in this series. including a triple and a home run on Friday night. And he takes a fastball strike from Cozart. And scored 7 runs in the first 2 innings last night, routing Brad Hand and getting themselves off to a fast start. And then didn't score over the last 7 innings.
Cespedes drives one deep center field. Gillespie racing back near the home run sculpture. It's out of here! Yoenis Cespedes almost hit the flamingo. His 30th home run of the season, his 12th as a Met. Cespedes gets the Mets off to another fast start, and it's 1-0 New York.
Above the belt. Catcher sets up, away, wants it down, and it's right down the pipe, belt high, and you don't do that to the good hitters.
First career 30 home run season for Yoenis Cespedes, and the Mets out to another quick home run fueled lead. Michael Conforto hitting 3rd in the order for the first time in his career.
Cespedes has just been a gift from the gods. This is one fine player.
He's now homered in 4 of his last 5 games.
There's hardly any stride with Cespedes. Doesn't use a lot of his lower body, just upper body strength, but he's got a beautiful swing.
2-1 to Conforto, who sat last night against the lefty. Hit cleanup for the first time on Friday night, went 0 for 6. And with David Wright getting the day off today, Daniel Murphy, Lucas Duda, Michael Kadire all still out. Conforto gets the 3 spot in the order today for the first time. And he pops one up. That'll come foul back and out of play. 2-2. You know, watching Cespedes for these last 5 weeks, you think about all the great mid-season acquisitions that have led their team to postseasons. I think of Rick Sutcliffe, the Cubs in '84. I think of Carlos Beltran with the Astros in 2004. He is right on that short list right now of players who have made a dynamic impact coming over in mid-season trade. Conforto hits one to left center field, slicing away from Gillespie. He won't get to it. It's off the wall on the fly. So Conforto follows up Cespedes' home run with an extra base hit of his own.
Well, that ball carried to the base of the wall, Gary. That's how strong Conforto is. And you know me, I love him using left center field, hitting the ball where it's pitched. Look at that. Went down and got it. Not much of a follow through, and that ball carried to the base of the wall.
And that's a long way out there. Almost 400 feet away in left center in front of that home run sculpture.
Boy, the Mets would just love to have another quick start. And these teams playing it out. You jump on them early, they usually lay down and die. So you want to just keep your foot on them.
Wilmer Flores had a first inning home run last night. After d'Arnaud had hit a 3-run shot, Flores hit the very next pitch out. It was the first time in Wilmer's career that he had hit a first inning home run. In fact, it was the first time in d'Arnaud's career he had hit a first inning home run.
Well, there'll be more down the road.
Yes, there will. As both of them participate higher in the batting order. Flores hitting cleanup today, and Cozart threw a fastball by him. 96 from Cozart. He can really bring it. Cozart started out in the Phillies organization. He was dealt to the Astros in the deal that sent Hunter Pence to Philadelphia, and then came over in a midseason deal last year that sent Jake Marisnick to the Astros. And he pitched very well for the Marlins down the stretch last year. But it's been a very rough year for him on a number of fronts. In spring training, he was investigated by Major League Baseball because of gambling allegations and was eventually fined but not suspended. They determined he had not bet on baseball, but they were investigating that, and that was certainly a distraction. And then he had the vertigo problems that have sent him to the disabled list twice. But this is a 25-year-old pitcher of great talent from whom the Marlins are expecting a lot. That's nubbed foul. 2-2 to Flores.
Take an overhead look at the home run. Open stance, but strides in. hardly any stride, and lets go with one hand. A lot of hitters. Piazza comes to mind. Mike Piazza of late. Well, they hang on with both hands and almost wrap the bat around their backside.
Carlos Beltran.
Beltran also, absolutely. Cespedes lets go with one hand, and I let go with one hand. I very seldom hung on with two. And that's a late release, too, not an early release.
2-2 to Flores, who's 4 for 8 in his career against Cozart. And he takes the changeup down, 3-2.
So it makes you wonder to look at, all these Cuban players now that are being able to come over here and play, and we're catching them in their late 20s and their 30s. What were they like when they were 20, 21, 22 there?
Well, you know what Cespedes' nickname was, La Potencia, the potential. Well, the Mets are seeing the result of all that potential. And now, with Cuba opening up, probably more and more likely we're going to see more Cuban players earlier in their careers.
I wonder how that's going to play out as far as, if they have to go home, if they're going to get here and they're going to want to stay. But this is baseball. We stick with baseball.
Long turn at bat for Flores with Conforto at second and 1 out. Well, I don't know what the politics are going to bring, but if Cuba opens up the way the Dominican and Venezuela have in terms of Major League Baseball being able to go in and sign players when they're 16 years old, or maybe subject them to an international draft eventually, you can only imagine the wealth of talent that is going to come off that island and into the major leagues.
Well, I can remember my father talking about the Cuban players when I was a young teenager. About the best players were in Cuba.
Eighth pitch of the at bat coming from Cozart to Flores. And Wilmer hits a sharp ground ball. Gordon with a nice backhand stop. And that's the second out as Conforto goes to third.
Boy, I tell you what, D. Gordon has made all the plays in this series so far, and he's got good hands. Makes it look easy.
Can I ask one question, though, for Davaris Gordon?
Yes.
What was he thinking when he got dressed this morning?
It's pretty hideous.
I mean, what is with the socks? That is just awful.
Well, the shoes, too. We should get Ronnie in here to get his opinion. Look at that. That's hideous. Well, it's like bowling shoes.
I don't have as much problem with the shoes as I do with the socks.
It's like bowling for dollars.
You're a terrific player, but that just doesn't work.
That's an ugly look.
Here's Kelly Johnson with a runner at 3rd and 2 out, and he takes a curveball for a strike.
Boy, I tell you what, Guccione's going to have a big strike zone today, and it's a getaway day, so swing the bat.
Kelly has really picked it up. He had that game-tying hit in the 9th inning on Friday. 5 hits in his last 9 bats, and with that has driven in 4 runs in those 9 at bats. Johnson grounds one for Gordon to his left, and that retires the side. Mets settle for just the 1 run on Yoenis Cespedes' 30th home run. Now Steven Matz takes them out with a 1-0 lead. Well, there was only 2 major league starts in late June and early July, but Steven Matz, the 24-year-old from East Setauket, has made quite an impression.
He certainly has. He's undefeated in his short career and has pitched 2 really brilliant ball games. And let me tell you, that game in L.A., Gary, I don't care who you are, when you play in Los Angeles for the first time, that's like going to Yankee Stadium. And he had a 6th inning, had a lot of pitches that game, but struck out 8, threw up goose eggs.
He was dominant. D. Gordon leads off and takes a fastball outside. Gordon 2 for 10 in this series, but he's got 24 hits against the Mets this year of his 166 hits, which leads the National League. Remember when Matz made that very first start against Cincinnati at Citi Field, he gave up a leadoff home run to Brandon Phillips, but was able to shake it off and settle himself in. And after 2 months on the sidelines, you can imagine he might be a little overamped today. He made a couple of rehab starts for Binghamton, and they were both brilliant, but now back on the big stage, coming back from a partially torn lat muscle.
He's a hard thrower, got a big breaking ball and a circle change. Circle change is his 3rd pitch. There's his 2 starts.
And Gordon taking all the way for ball 4, so a leadoff walk issued by Matz. Here's your Hyundai starting lineup for the Marlins. A little different look with a left-hander on the mound. Casey McGee and Colton Gillespie and Jeff Mathis all getting their first start in the series. No Adeiny Echeverria. He's missed the whole series with a hamstring injury. And, of course, no Giancarlo Stanton, still out with the wrist injury. Matt's still trying to catch his breath as he gets set to face Christian Yelich, the only left-hand bat in the lineup for the Marlins today.
I do not like giving Yelich the left side of that infield. I know Tejada's playing double play depth, but you just like him to see him shade a little more in the hole as much as he can.
That's had Gordon moving back to the bag as he threw that pitch, but he missed badly with it, and Plawecki will take it out to the mound. Remember, his first 2 starts, Matz was caught by Johnny Manel, who had caught him recently before he came up from Vegas. Plawecki caught him earlier in the year in the minor leagues.
We'll take a quick look at your Metsy defense. Brought to you by Lexus. Cespedes in center, Conforto in left, Granderson back in the lineup. Uribe stays in, goes to 3rd base. Tejada back in, and Flores flips over to 2nd. Kelly Johnson at 1st. So Terry's been using his entire roster.
Well, he's a little short-handed. Kadire got a shot in his wrist today, and he's going to be out, you'd figure, at least a couple more days. Murphy they hope to have back tomorrow. Full expectation is that Murph will be in the starting lineup for the Mets tomorrow in D.C.
And I wanted to say, you said it was his left quad, and that's the tough one for a left-hand hitter, because he heard it last time, I believe, coming out of the box. Because that's when you get a base hit or hit the ball hard and you got to run hard.
Gordon runs, and it's fouled off by Yelich.
That's all the thrust, the power comes off. You dig in with that left leg for a left-hand hitter coming out of the box, and that takes all that stress on that quad. So he's really got to be careful coming out of the box, Murph, when he gets back in the lineup.
Yeah, all the things that Murph has said and all things the training staff have said lead you to believe that it was a very mild tightness that he was feeling, not a re-pull. Gordon runs again. Yelich strikes out. No throw by Plawecki. So Gordon has his 48th stolen base of the year, and Matz has a strikeout for his first out.
And there's the hammer right here. Look at this, folks. That's wicked. Gordon, the left-hander, gets an easy stolen base here with those PF Flyers he's wearing.
The magic socks. So the tying run in scoring position with 1 out. Here's Martin Prado, 6 for 10 in this series and hitting .408 over his last 12 games. So Prado's been red hot.
Bartolo got him out last night inside. Got him up and in twice when he needed to.
How about Bartolo?
Oh, it's just amazing. I mean, it was from a team standpoint, it was just such a big win.
And just from a fun standpoint, the way he was able to work in that behind the back flip that just made the whole night and brought a little levity to a team that might have been, you know, a little uptight with all the events of the day. Interesting to see the captain sitting next to Matt Harvey, who has certainly borne the brunt of a lot over the last 24 hours in the wake of his comments. And I know Matt was pretty upset by some of the things that have been written about him, but you know, that's New York. Put yourself in a circumstance where you're made out to be a hero, and when you turn out to be anything less, sometimes you can get knocked down off the pedestal.
That's like it was a telegraph left hook. Saw that one coming a mile away.
Well, his agent did him no favors.
Put him in a bad spot, that's for sure.
2-1 to Prado.
There's the changeup.
Misses outside. 3-1.
Good eye by Prado there, and there's the sink on that changeup. This young man is fairly polished.
Well, remember, he was drafted in 2009, had the Tommy John surgery, missed 3 years. But it gave him a chance to get stronger, to learn his craft better. And when he finally got to the mound in the minor leagues in 2012, he was like a skyrocket, barreling his way through the Mets farm system very rapidly and making it to the big leagues in June. Now trying to rekindle his season in September. Whacked out to right. Granderson retreating, gets there. Gordon tags at second. He'll take third. Now there are 2 out.
So a little bit of early jitters here, I believe, from Matt. Had a little trouble finding the plate in the first batter. Leadoff walk, fell behind Yelich, came back and got him. So kind of settling in. It'd be nice for him to get the out here and get on his way.
So 2 out. Gordon at third. Marcell Ozuna back in the lineup tonight after sitting last night. Ozuna 2 for 4 in the series with a double and an RBI. That's just not sharp with his fastball early. His last start came Monday for Binghamton. He went 5 innings, gave up 1 hit and no walks. And the off-speed pitch for a strike.
Kind of goosed that changeup a little bit. A little difference in his delivery. Slowed down his arm. Didn't do it the other changeup to Prado.
And he gets ahead on Ozuna, 1-2. Ozuna has had himself a troubled year. It's been a stint in the minor leagues.
Thought he was on his way. What do you have, 23 home runs last year or something like that?
His 8th this year. 1-2 coming. And he lines it into left for a base hit. That'll tie up the game. Gordon comes in to score. Ozuna with a 2-out hit. And the Marlins even things at 1.
Well, he got the curveball up there, just didn't break for him. Soft and lazy. Just sits on a tee. Not enough down break up in the strike zone.
So a walk, a stolen base, and a 2-out hit for Ozuna give the Marlins a run. And now Casey McGee playing first base today, and he takes a fastball for a strike. McGee, who began the year as a Giant, released by San Francisco, came back to the Marlins in July after spending last year very successfully in the Marlins uniform. And he grounds one down to third. Uribe will go the short way, and that retires the side. Marlins get even. Ozuna with the 2-out hit. 1-1 after 1. his captain responsibilities very seriously, and I would imagine trying to provide a little counsel to Matt Harvey, trying to help him understand where things went so terribly wrong for him yesterday.
It was quite the prolonged conversation with David, nonstop, speed rapping, and Matt doing the listening. So, they could be talking about all sorts of things.
I've got a feeling there's one specific topic. Juan Uribe leading off in the second, with Wright getting the day off to be counselor-in-chief in the dugout. Uribe playing third base today. Juan is 1 for 9 in the series. Started the first 2 games at second base, playing third base today.
Now, you mentioned in the break here that I mentioned, gosh, I wish I was a lip reader, and you said Vin Scully's a lip reader.
Yeah, Scully, if you watch the telecast of the Dodger games, if there's a conversation going on, he'll tell you exactly what the guys are saying. That's a great skill to have.
Yes, it is.
Slowly hit, and Gordon comes into play. 1 out. For the Seinfeld, we just bring in Marley Matlin, and she helped us out.
You guys in the truck, you're big Seinfeld guys.
Here's Ruben Tejada playing shortstop today. Tejada 1 for 3 in this series. Now, you were a captain, Keith. Was there ever a time when there was any kind of similar situation where a player, with his words, with his actions, not quite understanding how the media process works, that you might have had to provide some kind of counsel or advice?
Well, you had the famous photo day when Darryl was trying to renegotiate his contract. That was a little bit tougher. I think that players in this generation are a lot different. I mean, I'm not down there, so I don't know. I only have my ears. I listen to what I hear from the coaches. Got to be a little more diplomatic today, maybe a little more tender. But you could get on guys before managers could get on guys. I mean, I often said I like to tell the story. I would call on hit and run plays. I'd like to switch. Everybody would think a left-hand hitter, the shortstop covered. I'd like to get the second baseman to cover. And that plan didn't work out, and Davey chewed me out in the dugout in front of everybody. It did not bother me. So,
but what about in terms of a teammate and dealings with the media? I mean, that's really what we're talking here about, guiding a player in a tough situation and trying to make him understand or help him cope with a difficult situation that he's gotten himself into.
Well, every individual is different, and people are going to sometimes learn the school of hard knocks.
Well,
I mean, that's the most important thing to do is, if you're going to, my advice was, if you're going to say something controversial, best not to say it. Just don't spout off in the press and leave yourself open where you're quoted in the paper. Go talk to the manager. So did I have to counsel anybody? No, I did not. It just was a different time. You throw them in the water, let them swim.
Here's Kevin Plawecki, his first start for the Mets since August the 9th in Tampa, and he takes a strike. Well, it would be interesting to get your perspective on what Matt could have done better. Once Boris put him in this situation of throwing out the 180 inning hard cap and made it a public issue rather than a issue to be settled behind the scenes, what would Matt best have done? Should he have just said nothing?
Well, number one, you had the press conference, so he's going to be open to that, and then he's going to get cross-examined because the press is their job to get more out of him. And we were there, Gary. It was kind of a lengthy. I just think he should have just said, "Look, I'm going to take the ball every day, and we'll see. Right now, I'm starting Tuesday, and
it's out of my hands. Let them work it out."
Exactly.
Yeah. That probably.
And you know what? You could have. Listen. I still say he's had a major surgery. You can't tell me when you have a doctor telling you 180, and you got your whole career in front of you. You're not afraid. And that's something that you can express and that people will understand. You know, I've worked my life to get to this point. I'm 26 years old. Forget 3 years from now I'm going to be a free agent and maybe get a big payday. I want to play this game so as long as I can. I love this game. People will understand that. Don't you think?
Off the pitcher's foot and up the middle for a base hit. Tejada pulls in at second. Plawecki is aboard with the Mets' third hit. I think you're absolutely right, Keith.
I mean, there's a human element to this.
But if he had chosen that route, it would have certainly made him a more sympathetic figure. But how about saying this? Scott Boras works for me, but I work for the Mets, and I'll do whatever they tell me to do. And let the parties, let the agent and the doctor and the brass of the Mets work it out behind the scenes, so that you're not front and center saying, I'm going to shut myself down.
But it's easy for us to sit here separated. Matt is the center of the storm. And trust me, when the world seems to be surrounding you and piling on, you get very nervous, and your thought process isn't so grand. You're stressed.
Steven Matz' first at bat. Marlins looking for the bunt, and he does show bunt. Well, the way Steven has swung the bat in his first two starts, there's no guarantee the bunt will stay on. He had an historic first game, 3 for 3 with 4 runs batted in. No one had ever done that before in a debut pitcher.
The whole bottom line is that it's a shame that it was publicized and became public and became a big fester. It was right there glaring. It never should have gotten to that point. It should have been done behind the scenes.
Well, now the Mets are going to have to pick up the pieces, and certainly there's no resolution to it yet. All we know is Matt's going to start Tuesday, and after that, I don't think anybody knows what happens.
It's just like the old Raiders motto: just win, baby. Get out there and play and win.
Well, that's what Terry said. He said, you know, all the conversation aside, as Matt's this time was ready to swing, he said all Matt's got to do is go out there and perform, and that solves a lot of problems.
And unfortunately, the team has been spilled over, and it's spilled over onto the team. Don't tell me they don't know in that clubhouse. So all of them focus on the 9 innings on what the job at hand. Focus on a division. That should be the brass ring right there. That should be the goal, and it eliminates everything during the game.
Matz takes it outside, and now it's 3-1.
Good eye right there.
He can hit. I mean, we saw it in his first 2 starts. He knows how to swing the bat. He was a first baseman most of his way through high school. Didn't become a pitcher till late. He had aspirations of being in the big leagues as a hitter, and he showed in his first start. He knows how to do that. Cozart behind him, 3-1. Could be a double play. Rojas with the flip. Gordon with the turn. Just in time. Close play at first. And we'll see whether the Mets challenge the call at first base. The Marlins are waiting around to see.
Boy, Matz flew down that line.
He can run.
I think they got him, Garrett.
McGee, the first baseman.
Oh,
very close.
Very close.
Mets are not going to challenge it, though.
Yeah, I don't think they can turn it over.
Not going to spend the challenge this early in the game. So the 6-4-3 double play ends the inning. And Matz will head back to the mound in a 1-1 game.
is with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replay reviews, scores, StatCast, live radio broadcasts, and more. Download MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet now. Steven Matz faces Cole Gillespie leading off in the home second.
We'll see what kind of inning Matz has here. He struggled through his first with his control. Understandably, his first start since July 5th.
Gillespie getting his first start of the series. 31-year-old journeyman takes a strike.
Now the double play was just got him, and he hustled down that line.
Good call, though. Corey Blazer made the call at first, and it was the proper one. So Matt's really struggling early to command his fastball. Miguel Rojas on deck, then Jeff Mathis for the Marlins in the second. Change up gets him even 2-2. He's definitely overamped. You've seen him several times early in this game just trying to catch his breath.
You know, I like the fact that he's poised on the mound, and you know he's got some anxiety, some nervous jitters, but he's working to find it. You can see him. I like his demeanor on the mound. Not bad for a 24-year-old? Yes, sir.
Gillespie fouls it off. Well, the Mets will be in D.C. tomorrow to start their huge series with the Nationals. The Nats are finishing off their series at home against the Braves today, and Atlanta has a run home in the first inning against Joe Ross. So the Braves have lost 11 in a row, have the early lead.
There's the curve.
Gillespie down on strikes. Second strikeout for Matz. One down in the second.
Boy, it's just been a struggle for him, isn't it? He's just making a lot of pitches to put the hitters away. This is a wonderful curve down and in. Beautiful.
There's Miguel Rojas, who's played the whole series at shortstop, with Echeverria down with a hamstring problem. Rojas 2 for 8 in the series.
He's struggling with his fastball, Gary.
Yep.
Command of his fastball.
Bouncing ball for Flores, or Tejada, excuse me, and he throws out Rojas 2 away.
I mean, this is not a powerful lineup as far as some home run hitters. So it's the bottom of the order. Just let it air it out. You just try to find your rhythm.
Here's Jeff Mathis doing the catching today. 32-year-old career backup. Only his 25th start. He missed a couple of months with a broken hand early in the season. By the way, we mentioned that Braves-Nats game today. Ryan Zimmerman was a late scratch for Washington today. Scorched toward the middle. Flores lays out and gets up and throws out Mathis to end the inning. Lovely play by Flores to get Steven Matz through the bottom of the second. The Marlins go 1-2-3. Flores looking smooth.
Ticket plan today and guarantee yourself access to 2015 Mets postseason tickets. Purchase tickets online at Mets.com/deposits. Curtis Granderson leads off in the third inning. Took a call, third strike, his first time up. And Curtis takes a curveball for a strike, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
You know, Gary, we talk about it all the time with Curtis Granderson, how he is the guy that is the epitome of never getting too high, never getting too low, the same guy no matter what's going on. And Granderson says it's something that he thinks goes all the way back to his childhood. In terms of why he never gets too high, he said when he was playing baseball, basketball as a kid, he remembers distinctly days where he thought he did something great. And he'd run to tell his dad, and his dad, while very supportive, said to him, "That's great, but what are you going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do to keep pushing forward?" So he said he learned to never really take one particular performance and get too high on it. In terms of never getting too low, this to me was the most interesting. Curtis Granderson was the rare professional athlete that claims that he was never the guy growing up on any of his teams. As he grounds out here, he said that even in high school, he was one of two players that went Division I, and the guy that went Division I in front of him, he went to Notre Dame, set all kinds of state records. So Granderson says he never had that pressure to perform on a day-in, day-out basis. He was more easily able to just go out there, play, let a bad performance roll off his back, and he's kept that going as he's gotten to this level as well.
Well, the one thing I like about what Dad had to say was when he praised his accomplishment, but then pushed him to be better. That's good instruction, and that's pretty much Curtis's mantra.
Well, he struggled through some awfully tough times as a Met, but we have seen how Curtis's approach of just keeping his nose to the grindstone has paid off for him big time this year.
He comes to the park every day. He plays every day. He hustles. And he's a good teammate.
Yoenis Cespedes got the Mets off to a fast start with a first inning home run. His 30th home run of the season, his first career 30 home run season. And he's hit a dozen of those in just 33 games as a Met. Slugging percentage as a Met is now well over 600. So he has upped his game even farther since being traded from Detroit. Jared Cozart, first big league start since the 4th of July. Still trying to settle himself in.
Cozart's got that little flipping of his glove when he starts his motion. Kind of has a nervous twitch in his glove. You'll see it. You don't want to do that when you're throwing a particular pitch. That would be Federal Express tipping it off. Western Union.
Hurries in to grab the hop and throws out Cespedes 2 out. I'm trying to think if there's a modern version of the telegraph, right? To telegraph your pitch. Now that the telegraph no longer exists.
It does not no longer exist? Well,
have you tried to send a telegram lately?
It's like, it has to be like folklore then.
Well, but tipping off your pitches would be like tweeting your pitch?
No.
Here's Michael Conforto, badly fooled on the breaking ball. Conforto hit a double to the base of the fence in left center his first time up. Nats didn't score in the bottom of the first. 1-0 Atlanta going to the second. We mentioned Ryan Zimmerman scratched. No reason given for him being scratched, but you know Zimmerman had the plantar fasciitis that kept him on the sidelines for almost 2 months. And he has been roaring hot as the Nats have begun to put together wins. They've won 4 in a row now, and Zimmerman the last 10 games, 431, 6 homers, 18 RBIs.
Well, there's a lot of bad teams out there, and they're beating up on bad teams like the Mets are. The Mets have to take 2 out of 3 here. They've already lost a game so far in the first 2 games of the series.
That's
nice.
Sawed off into left field for a base hit. Conforto takes the turn. He'll head for second for his second double of the day. Well, that one cost him a bat on an 0-2 pitch. Able to dunk one to the left.
Well, he stays level here. He's jammed, but the level swing, well, he hits the soft liner. He's strong enough to inside out and muscle it. I think he's going to better get comfortable in that third position. I think he's going to be sitting there for quite some time down the road.
10 doubles now for Conforto to go with 5 home runs in his first 98 at bats. So he's in scoring position with 2 out for Wilmer Flores. Seems like we have a lot more Met fans in the house today than we did the first 2 games of the series. They've been inspired at every hint of a rally. Flores hit the ball hard his first time up. D. Gordon made a nice play to deny him a hit.
So I see by that sign behind home plate they're going to have the 2017 All-Star game here in Miami here.
Correct. Yes, they are.
Nice setting for an All-Star game.
Now, my question is, when they have the home run derby, will the home run sculpture just be in continuous operation? We haven't seen the thing go off this entire weekend because the Marlins have not hit a home run in this series.
I can do without it.
And Wilmer went around 1-2. Mets, on the other hand, have been prolific with the home runs, 5 of them already in this series.
Interesting how Ozuna in right field's playing very deep. I know he's got a great arm, but most teams have played Flores in shallow in right field, and rightly so, because he likes to poke that ball out there.
Especially behind in the count, which he is now. And that one bounces far enough away from Mathis that Conforto makes the break, but he's out at third. Mathis pounced on it quickly. Conforto read it as it hit the dirt, but gets thrown out to end the inning. And Terry's going to see whether he might challenge the call at third. He's come up to the top step, so hold your horses.
Nice play by Mathis.
No challenge. Inning over.
Got to make sure on that one.
Don't want to make the third out of third base. But Mathis makes the throw, and Prado gets the tag down. Still 1-1.
broke right away. I'll tell you what, it was just a really nice play by the catcher, Mathis, who barehanded it and made the play and made the good throw.
And a very, very close play, but I think it was the right call. I think it was out. Garrett Cozart swings and misses at a high fastball, and Steven Matz is ahead 0-2. Cozart 5 career hits, lifetime 147 hitter. And Matz makes quick work of him for his 3rd strikeout.
All right, now it's second time through the order.
D. Gordon walked to lead off against Matz, then stole second and scored on Marcell Ozuna's 2-out hit. So maybe the ugly sock and shoe combination pays off.
There's
already gotten on base, stolen a base, scored a run, made a nice defensive play.
Well, it's the fake stirrup socks, and you know, you just got to cover. Get the pant leg
well,
down
that's
a little
the
bit.
thing. The fake stirrup socks, I understand. A lot of guys wore those in the 80s and into the 90s, but they never showed that top line.
Right. I never liked that because it was just lazy. Put your sanitary socks on and stirrup socks over.
Well, the way that all began, you know, when people traditionally wore stirrups, they showed the color at the top below the pant leg, and then the guys started wearing the high stirrups where all you saw was the stripe on the side, and then it got replaced by these fake stripe on the side socks.
You know, when I played, the Mets had a solid sock, it was always solid blue, but I always liked to show a little bit of it, and the Cardinals of course had the stripes, so I've always liked the Cardinal stripes as well as the Red Sox stripes on their socks.
Gordon broke his bat, fouling that ball off. Well, then the soccer socks, the solid color socks, became prevalent, and now so many guys wear their pant legs down around their shoes that you can't see any sock at all.
That was the first thing that came in my generation. George Hendrick was one of the guys that wore, just call it pajama look.
Full count to Gordon with Christian Yelich on deck. You don't want to walk him again if you're Steven Matz. Gordon has not been easy to walk this year. He's been much more of a hitter than a walker. 350 on base percent. That's lined the other way, and Gordon's got a hit. So he's on base for the 2nd time. Bobbled by Conforto, but Gordon, after a hard turn, will stay put.
Well, they're going to have to hold Gordon tight. Gordon seemed to have a good bead on the delivery and the move from Matz. Good hitting right there, and something the Marlins have shown. A lot of left-hand hitters that go to left field.
Double play ball. Flores to Tejada. Back to first. In time. Double play. Side retired. Matz induces the 4-6-3 double play from Yelich. Still 1-1 after 3.
Off back in April, the Mets faced Jared Cozart at Citi Field, and that's what Flores did. 3-run bomb. That's got 5 runs off Cozart that day, but he shut him out for 8 innings the second time he faced them later in April. Flores was at the plate when Conforto was thrown out trying to advance to end the third, so he gets a fresh turn. Flores, Johnson, and Uribe for the Mets against Jared Cozart in the 4th. To Wilmer. Jared Cozart, whose grandfather played in the major leagues. A guy named Ed Donnelly, who pitched 9 games with the Cubs in 1959. Is Jared's grandfather. Rojas throws out Flores, one away.
Well, the motion of Cozart here. You mentioned the flipping of the glove, but look how high his hands stay up over around ear level.
What do you think that flipping of the glove does for him?
It's something that it's.
Is it almost like a timing mechanism with a hitter?
It's just something that he's done his whole life, and I'm sure at one point he was told, "Hey, you're doing it on a certain pitch. And you're going to have to do it all the time. If you're going to need to do that, then you're going to need to do it on all 3 of your pitches."
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe he's doing it because he was tipping his pitches. Throw from catcher goes into center field.
All these balls, heaven forbid they get a little scuffed.
Used to be pitchers wanted a scuffed ball.
Yes.
They
could like, give me the ball.
Move.
That was the first guy that brought my attention to that was Bill Robinson, our hitting instructor, first base coach. Bill would always say, "Hey, when that ball gets in the dirt, ask for a new ball." And as a veteran, it never crossed my mind, and he was right. You know, it's got a scuff mark on it.
Well, in those days, if a pitcher asked for a new ball, he got one automatically. But if a hitter asked for a new ball, the umpire would not necessarily take it out of play.
Exactly. I never asked for a new ball. I asked him to check it.
Now anything that hits the dirt gets taken out of play automatically. It's a lot more balls for batting practice.
Or to
sell as game-used balls in the team store.
Right. And it's interesting that after every inning, the players throw the ball into the stands. It was a $100 fine back in my day.
Before community outreach.
Exactly right. It's good PR.
Before Zach Hempel. 3-2 now to Johnson. It'll be interesting to see how far the Marlins will push Cozart today. Like Matz, he's coming back from a long stint on the DL, and Cozart's last minor league stint lasted only 4 innings on Tuesday. So I'm sure Dan Jennings is going to have something of a halter on him today. In terms of Matz's leash, he should be able to throw 90 to 95 pitches today. That was the intention. And Johnson foul tips it for strike 3. Second strikeout of the day for Cozart.
It's a little cutter that had the outer half. Not a good swing by Kelly. Just. Yeah, it's a little backdoor slider, not much.
So 2 out and nobody on. Cozart with a chance for his first 1-2-3 inning facing Juan Uribe, who grounded out his first time. And Uribe takes it high. Meanwhile, in Washington, Michael Taylor just doubled in 2 runs in the bottom of the second, and the Nats have gone in front of the Braves 2-1.
Taylor's been playing pretty well down the stretch for them,
and he's been battling a bit of a knee problem. But he hit that walk-off homer the other night. Uribe crashes one to center. Gillespie with the dive. He can't make the play. Uribe pulls into second base with a 2-out double. Now the Mets with their 4th extra base hit in the first 4 innings of this game.
their 6th hit in this game. This ball's ripped, and Gillespie has ideas there. No chance.
It's fortunate that ball didn't bounce further away from him.
Yes.
Mr. Cozart knew that was trouble off the bat.
Yes, he knew he hung it.
Probably from the time it left his hand.
Right down the middle, wants the slider away, and it's hanging right down the middle, a little above the belt. That's where Uribe loves it.
All Gillespie got for his trouble was a face full of dirt.
And a dirty uniform, which is okay.
So the tie-breaking run in scoring position with 2 out. Ruben Tejada walked his first time up, and Mathis knocks down that curveball in the dirt. 1-0. That's with 5 hits against Cozart, 3 doubles and a home run. Conforto doubled with 1 out in the second, didn't score. Conforto doubled with 2 out in the third, was thrown out at third base trying to advance, and now Uribe has doubled with 2 out in the fourth. And Tejada takes the curveball in the dirt. It's 2-0. Kevin Plawecki, who had a base hit his first time up, is on deck. Mets have beaten the Marlins 10 of 15 this year. They'll still have 1 more series with Miami when they get home from this road trip. Mets have feasted on their own division, 37-19 against the National League East, with a whole lot more coming. 2-0 to Tejada, and a fastball for a strike. There's that Nats score. It's Joe Ross pitching for the Nats today. Manny Banuelos, the former Yankees prospect, pitching for the Braves. Can you imagine? You're in September. Your season got off to a pretty good start. Now you've lost 11 in a row and 18 of 19, and you still have 4 weeks to go. That's where the Braves are right now. Rojas handles the hop, throws out Tejada, inning over. So the Mets squander another extra base hit. Still 1-1 in the fourth. Mets catcher Paul LaDuca about being in the playoff chase and the big difference between this Mets team and the one he was on in 2007. On the latest Mets blog, Q&A cast, only on Mets blog, presented by Citi, part of the SNY.TV blog network. Martin Prado takes outside for ball one. I think that's going to become a regular feature. Anytime we talk about that particular year, I'm going to use that sound effect. 2007.
Well,
1-1 to Prado. Fly to right his first time up.
I love how they call it the collapse. That was a veteran team. That was not a collapse.
What would you call it?
Olive lodged in throat. That's what I'd call it.
And how about 2008?
What happened there? Same thing.
Well, they didn't have as big a lead, but they had
7 was the one
3.5 game lead late. And
same thing.
They had all the bullpen problems.
Archie Bell, Madrells.
Toward the hole, past the glove of Johnson into right field, and Prado has a leadoff hit. Prado's 7th hit in this series, and it comes leading off in the home 4th.
Now, I don't want to belabor the point here, but it just was the fact that it was a veteran team. There's a lot of veterans on that team, and that was a major olive lodged.
Well, they had pitching problems. They had some guys who did not have good Septembers, and just day by day it was a daily drip.
2007 was so painful that last month to watch that transpire. And remember, I told you, I said they're not coming out of this, and I'm around with 3 weeks left. I just felt, I could sense that they were in submarine in deep dive.
Ozuna drove in the Marlins run with a first inning single, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
But this is a whole new squad here. The only one remaining is David, and the makeup of this team, Gary, I don't sense any of that from this squad. If they're going to get beat, they're going to get beat. Going down fighting hard.
And their pitching is better. I don't think there's any question about that. 2008 was weird because it started when Billy Wagner got hurt, and then they just had no bullpen, and Jerry Manuel just run one guy after another out there, and nobody could get anybody out late in the game. And the Mets actually scored a lot of runs that September and just couldn't outscore their bullpen.
7's the one that sticks out like a sore thumb.
Jason Worth just hit a 3-run homer, and the Nats lead the Braves 5-1 in the second.
It's not going to get, you're not going to get any help. So you know what? The 4 games, and we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but obviously after the 3-game series in Washington, the Mets have 4 with Atlanta. They got to do the same thing to them.
3-2 to Ozuna. Well, the Mets have the 4 in Atlanta, then they'll have 3 games at home with the Braves.
They'll get Shelby Miller game 1. He pitched yesterday 5 days.
20 straight starts without a win now.
Yeah. So they'll miss the other guy, their other best pitcher. Tehran they'll miss.
Hasn't been a great year for Tehran, but he pitched really well on Friday night. Prado at first, nobody out. 3-2 to Ozuna, and he walked him. Mats thought he was going to get the call, didn't get it, and now the Marlins have 2 men on. It's the second walk for Mats. When we talked about the Mets' success against the East, they've done well against the West. It's that very tough Central. Mets got swept in the season series by both the Pirates and the Cubs, and put a big crimp in the middle of their year.
Well, the best teams come out of the Central.
And that's competed better against the Cardinals than they did against the Pirates and the Cubs. So now first and second, nobody out. Casey McGee hit into a fielder's choice his first time up. And he lashes one foul that got into the stands in a hurry.
He's a guy that likes to hit to the opposite field. He's also an excellent candidate for a double play. He does not run well on a ball on the ground. Is going to be 2, and that's what Mats needs.
He's grounded into 17 double plays this year in only 211 at bats, which is just a stunning number. I mean, if you projected over 500 at bats. You're talking about 40 grounded into double plays, which I think would be a record. So the Mets need some of that.
What is the record?
I think it's 36.
And who holds it?
Jim Rice?
Really?
I have to go look. Something like that. That's line to left. Conforto right there. And that's the first down.
Got him out in front with a changeup, Garrett. High change, but away enough. You want to keep the changeup down. You got it away enough to get him out in front.
The record is 36 by Jim Rice. That's right. 1984. In fact, Rice has the top two totals: 36 one year, 35 the next year. Nobody else has grounded into more than 32. There's Cole Gillespie, who struck out his first time, and he lashes one foul. So think about it. McGee with 17 is just about halfway to the record, and he's only had 212 at bats.
So yeah, it's not even halfway home.
Right. McGee actually has been there before. He had a year, actually it was last year with the Marlins. He grounded into 31, which is tied for 8th most all time.
Had the good year.
Yeah.
Matt Holliday hits into a lot of them. .33 down there. Is that what it says?
Still 0-2 to Gillespie. The active player with the most in one season is Billy Butler, who had 32 in 2010. Matt's working hard on Gillespie, who he struck out his first time up. And Gillespie holds on the high fastball, 1-2. Well, Chris Narveson, who at one point was a candidate to start this game today, is now up in the Miami bullpen. He came out of his last start with a blister. But with Cozart on a pitch count, Narveson getting himself ready. And the curveball misses to Gillespie, 2-2. It's not coming easily for Steven Matz today.
This has been a real labor for him.
Of his 3 big league starts, he has been the least sharp today. Good one. Gets Gillespie, though, with the curveball. Second time he struck out Gillespie in his 4th of the day.
But this, you know, Gary, when you make your evaluations of players, and here's the curveball down and in, excellent. Not everything's a bed of roses. You're not going to go out there every day and everything's going to go your way. And I got this, I got that, I got everything. It's when they are don't have it. That's when you really assess what a pitcher's made of. And those are the things I look for, and I'm sure it's what all professional baseball people look for. What's inside when they're struggling. And you know, Matz is battling through it. I mean, to me, DeGrom is the same way. DeGrom, when he struggles a little bit, he finds a way. He pushes through it. You either beat him, you beat him. You got it. He's not gonna knuckle under.
Otto at second, Ozuna at first, and 2 out. You go Rojas grounded to short his first time up. Matz is probably going to be capped somewhere between 90 and 95 pitches today. So.
And we are in the 4th, and boy, it doesn't look like you're going to get 7 out of him.
No, be happy with 6, I'm sure, at this point. 1-1 to Rojas. But on the positive side of that is that the Mets have a fully rested bullpen, with Bartolo Colon having finally given the Mets a complete game last night. The Mets have gone 223 games without a complete game before Colon's unlikely gem last night. 1-1 to Rojas.
He is just missing with that fastball, not by much. It's always good to deep breathe.
Been doing a lot of that today. Rojas smacks one down the line, foul. 2-2. Nice crowd gathered today. It is Marcell Ozuna bobblehead day, and it's also Jewish Heritage Day at the ballpark in Miami. I'm not sure if those two are related. Probably not.
We had the Israeli national anthem before the game.
Did.
Prior to the American.
Two on, 2 out, 2-2 to Rojas. On the inside corner, got him looking. Well, Matz got out of big time trouble in the fourth. Keeps it a 1-1 game. Well, it all starts tomorrow afternoon in our nation's capital. John Neese gets the assignment against Max Scherzer tomorrow. Matt Harvey Tuesday night against Jordan Zimmerman. Jacob deGrom Wednesday night, presumably against Steven Strasburg, as long as he comes out of his bullpen session okay today. The probables brought to you by Citi, and more on the Nats brought to you by Steve Gelb.
Well, Gary, you guys talked a little about it earlier. The Nats playing so much better recently. Since August 18th, they're averaging over 6 runs per game. That's really been the difference. The pitching's still a bit inconsistent, but the offense has really turned it up. And you mentioned Zimmerman, who has been on an absolute tear, out today, but it does sound like he's going to play the next 3 games against the Mets. How about Jason Worth, though? Since August 18th, they moved him to the leadoff spot. He's hitting over 300, seems to be having almost a Curtis Granderson-like effect on them. Then, of course, there's Bryce Harper, who is having an MVP caliber season. Now, I checked in with one of the beat reporters for the Nationals, got a feel for what that clubhouse is like right now, still trailing the Mets by 5 games. What he said is that for the first time all season, this Nationals team, it feels like there's a momentum building, I should say. They are very cognizant of what this series means with the Mets. If they can get 2 out of 3, he thinks that momentum could become pretty powerful. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, it works both ways, Steve, for both teams. Both teams are very much aware that we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, and the Nationals, in terms of having that series at home, they got to be happy about that, because they've got to make a move, and the Mets can put a dagger right in their heart, go in there and take 2 out of 3.
Well, the Mets have won 7 in the season series. The Nats have won 6. You see what they've done recently since the calendar turned to September. The Nats offense has picked up, and Derek Cozart has got a little necklace problem. So the jewelry malfunction has been handled. By the way, Bryce Harper just added a home run.
They're hot.
6-1. Did you see the quote from Gio yesterday? It was great. He was referring to Harper, who had a big day yesterday with 3 hits. And he said it's almost like he's playing video games and he's got the cheat codes.
That's nice.
Milwaukee strikes out for the first down.
So he's red hot.
I mean, he's had just a phenomenal season, and you know, that's, I think, going to be the most difficult part of managing that series for Terry Collins, is figuring out when Harper gets a big at bat in the late innings, who comes in to face him, because the Mets just don't have that guy. It was supposed to be Jerry Blevins, who got off to a great start this year, and since Jerry went down in April, they've never found that situational left-hander. Matt's grounded into a double play his first time up. I have a feeling if it comes down to a big spot in the 7th inning, you probably see Tyler Clippard come into face.
I would think.
I mean, it's been such a stark contrast between what Familia and Clippard have done in the 9th and the 8th innings respectively, and what the rest of the bullpen has done.
Well, with all this talk about Cespedes, where would the Mets be without Clippard?
Oh. He has been a lifesaver for them. On the other hand, the other way of looking at it is, if Henry Mejia had not gotten himself suspended a second time, the Mets would be a lot better fortified in that bullpen.
Yes.
Look, by the way, there's Josh Edgin, who has stopped in to join the team, recovering from Tommy John surgery. People forget about Edgin. That was a huge loss in spring training this year, because Josh pitched very well the second half of last year. It looked like he was poised to be a very important left-handed piece. But he went down with Tommy John. I think it was the same week Zach Wheeler did, and
you're right.
Mets have been trying to play catch up ever since. They tried out a bunch of left-handed arms in the spring. They knew they were going to keep Sean Gilmartin because he was a Rule 5 guy, but he didn't profile as a situational lefty, so that's when they brought in Blevins and Alex Torres right at the end of spring training. Try and fortify, and Blevins got off to a fantastic start, but then broke his arm and hasn't been back since. Long turn at bat for Matz, and Steven bounces one to third. Prado on the backhand and throws out Matz 2 away.
Well, Prado has played second base as a Brave, third base. He's played left field. But he's primarily, I really think his best position is second base, but he's been third baseman for quite some time now.
I think that might be all for Cozart. He's thrown 88 pitches, and I believe he has thrown his last.
He doesn't want to go. He's not happy.
Well, he wants to get his 5 innings in for a chance for a win, but he's not going to get that today in his first start in the big leagues in 2 months. Ichiro Suzuki's going into right field. So the Marlins are making a double switch. 1-1 game in the 5th. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Bronx, Dave Malicki zipped the Yanks in the first Subway Series, and Blue Shirt fans lost their captain when Mark Messier left the Rangers for Vancouver. This week, relive the best sports stories from 1997. Oh yeah, presented by Cheapo Air. Tonight at 8, only on SNY. Marcell Ozuna moves from right field to center field. Ichiro Suzuki will play right field and bat 9th. And the new pitcher, left-hander Chris Narveson, will hit 6th.
Well, last year Narveson was in Japan with the Yakult Swallows.
Curtis Granderson greets him with a fly ball to left center. Ozuna cutting over, gets there, and that retires the side. Mets are down 1-2-3 in the top of the 5th. Halfway through, still tied at 1. First inning, nothing since. There's a young Met fan, I think. He's got mixed loyalties.
First pitch driven to left off the bat of Jeff Mathis. Conforto goes back, takes a look, and it's gone. Jeff Mathis with his first home run of the season on the first pitch thrown by Steven Matz in the bottom of the 5th. And he gives the Marlins a 2-1 lead.
That was stunning.
Fastball. Too much plate. Wanted it away.
Mathis has got occasional power. He's hit as many as 9 home runs in a season. But his first of this season has given the Marlins the lead. Now Ichiro Suzuki up for the first time, takes a strike. Ichiro started last night, went 0 for 4. And he lifts this one to left, easy for Conforto. 1 out. Well, Matz gave up 2 home runs in his first start against the Reds. To Brandon Phillips leading off the game, and then later to Todd Frazier. Both of those came leading off innings, and this one from Mathis comes leading off an inning as well. Are there guys who you know you can ambush at the start of an inning?
No. He just got a fastball, Gary, out over the plate, but mistake.
Dee Gordon's been on base twice with a walk and a single. He's stolen the base. He scored a run. Curveball misses. 2-1. Uribe willing on the grass at third against Gordon. Always a threat to lay down a bunt. And now Matt's behind him again. 3-1. Full count. Nationals just tacked on another run and lead 7-1 after 3. So Braves are about done for the day. Strike 3 call. Matz picks off the outside corner to retire Gordon for the first time today. 6 strikeouts for Steven.
Using both sides of the plate. Fastball in, 3-1. Fastball away, right on the corner.
Back home on Long Island, Grandpa Bird is thinking that's a little better.
Grandpa Bird thinking, come on guys, get some runs from my
Grandpa Bird made himself something of a national celebrity during Steven's first start. Comebacker from Yelich, and Matz gets 3 quick outs after giving up the go-ahead home run to Jeff Mathis. 2-1 Marlins after 5. Sixth inning recap. Yoenis Cespedes, second batter of the game, gave the Mets an early lead, but they haven't scored since. Jeff Mathis with the go-ahead home run for the Marlins in the 5th against Steven Matz. And now Cespedes leads off the 6th and takes outside from Chris Narveson. Cespedes' home run was his 30th of the year, his 12th as a Met. 4 home runs in his last 5 games, which is pretty good, except when you then look at what Nolan Arenado's done the last week. Arenado has homered in 6 straight games for the Rockies. 2 shy of the major league record. Dale Long, Don Mattingly, Ken Griffey Jr. homered in 8 straight games, and there are only 3 other guys who homered in 7 straight. And Arenado has a chance to join that elite group today against the Giants. Cespedes went around in the half swing. 2-2. Well, Arenado tied for the most extra base hits in baseball, but there's Cespedes, had his 69th extra base hit today with his home run, brought to you by DraftKings.
And Josh Donaldson's got a leg up on the MVP.
Well, especially the way Mike Trout has fallen off the second half for the 2nd straight year. I mean, his numbers are still good, don't get me wrong, but Trout's gone 27 games without a home run, and that has not helped the Angels' cause. They come into the day 3.5 out in the wild card and 5.5 out in their division. So I totally agree. I think Donaldson is definitely the front runner. Cespedes gets ahead of that one and throws it foul.
So what a pickup by Toronto, getting him from Oakland.
Yeah.
I think someone got hit, got hurt over there.
That's what Cespedes is looking at. It's far down the left field line, not a place where a hard foul ball where you'd be expecting a hard foul ball from a right-hand batter.
He needs to get in the box and go hit. There's nothing he can do there. They have emergency employees here. It's got to be the umpire's got to get him in the box.
Mathis goes out to talk to Narveson to buy a little time here. It's got to be awfully upsetting for a player, though, when somebody gets hit by their foul ball. Or
yeah, some the EMT people are there now. I've seen a few people get whacked by a ball. More than my share.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about extending screens to try and protect more fans. That's a place where there would never have been a screen, even had they extended it. Up the middle, and Cespedes has a base hit. Nice. He's able to settle himself back in and pick up his second hit of the day.
Beautiful hitting. Right up the originator, as they say.
So the Mets get the tying run aboard. First hit off Narveson, and now Michael Conforto, who has a couple of doubles already today, will face the left-hander. They've been keeping Michael away from lefties for the most part, but he gets a chance here. Eventually, and by eventually I mean next year, Conforto's going to play every day against lefties and righties.
Certainly.
But this year he's only had 7 at-bats against left-hand pitching, 2 for 7. It's about other options to go to, particularly Juan Lagares against left-hand pitching. A high strike, and it's 1-1. Conforto drilled one to the base of the fence in left center for a double in the first, and then broke his bat and served one into left for a double in the third. Conforto had been facing lefties every day in the minors, so here he is, what, 6 weeks in the big leagues, barely facing lefties. Is that more of a challenge now for him?
And on this level too, and with this last month in a stretch run, you get a little rusty. You need to face left-handers here to stay sharp.
Tries to lay off the pitch in the dirt, and he held up. Mathis able to knock it down and keep Cespedes at first. What's the hardest part when you haven't faced lefties in a while?
Not pulling. Everything else good. Getting out in front and pulling sliders, swinging at bad sliders.
So Kyle Barraclough up in the bullpen for the Marlins. Very impressive the other night. And Conforto goes down on the slider away. So Narveson has his first strikeout. 1 out and 1 out in the 6th. Let's check in with the studio. Jonas Schwartz has a game break brought to you by Honda. It's 34 for number 34.
Well, I didn't really expect Manny Benuelos to hold down the Nationals.
Here's Wilmer Flores, 1 out and 1 on. Wilmer, who was scorched left-hand pitching this year.
Gosh, the Braves are just awful.
mean, can you even imagine what it must be like playing for that team right now? 4 weeks to go. They're on the verge of losing for the 19th time in 20 games.
No, I don't even want to. I don't even want to imagine it. No thanks.
Wilmer was robbed of a hit on a shot up the middle. Good play by Gordon back in the first. Then he bounced out to short in the fourth. Cespedes will steal the occasional base. He's got 7 for the year.
Good eye from Flores. Good pitch to hit now.
Arvidsson made the last start in this spot in the rotation for the Marlins, but came out of that start with a blister. Well, pitching out of the bullpen behind Kozar. And he misses low and away with the fastball, and now it's 3-0 to Flores. There's your People's United Bank starting pitchers. We moved the People's United Bank logo to the other side. Did you notice?
No, I did not.
Kozar on a pitch count came out after 4 2/3. Matz has gone 5, down in the game 2-1.
It's a very handsome logo,
but it was always on the left all year. There's the strike. 3-1.
So well,
do you think that's
what?
It's an omen of some kind?
Left side's lucky, Gary.
Perhaps the right side is lucky too.
See if Terry sets loose. Cespedes at first. I doubt it.
Not going.
Flores clocks one to left field. Back goes Yelich to the warning track near the wall. It's out of here. Wilmer Flores gives the Mets the lead with a 2-run homer. Number 16 for Flores, his second in 2 days, and the Mets go in front 3-2.
Huge contingent of Met fans here today, more than in any other game in this series, and they just exploded.
Hey, that's a pitch away to let go with one hand. Pretty well 3-1 count. There's your clincher right there. Nicely done, Wilmer.
And they're still chanting Wilmer's name in the stands behind first base.
Gets go with one hand, a little out in front. Well done.
1-2 to Kelly Johnson. And so many things have gone right for this ball club over the last 6 weeks. But the first thing that went right was not trading Wilmer Flores.
Yes.
Despite their best intentions to do so. Johnson strikes out for the second time. Second out of the inning.
They've been hitting home runs, Gary, during this little run, too.
That they have. 2 more today. 144 for the year. Mets are now 5th in the National League in home runs.
Who would have thought that?
And leading the league in runs scored since they started changing over the offense. And Uribe has been a part of that. He had a double his last time up. You know, if you think back to spring training and the rationale the Mets used for putting Flores at short, it would be that he could be an offensive player,
right,
the likes of a Johnny Peralta, and hit 20 home runs in a season. Well, he's got a shot at 20. It's 16 now.
Yes.
Not an everyday shortstop anymore. And, you know, that's one of the things that changed before the Mets brought in all this offense. Remember back in June when they were struggling so mightily defensively, and they finally put everybody in the right spot. And that has made a difference as well. A much better defensive team.
Finally gave in to the submission hold.
Well, you know, they wanted to give Wilmer a fair trial at short, but let's face it, Tejada's a better defender there, and Tejada's played better this year.
Tejada's played really well.
Flores a better second baseman, and he's settled in there. Bounce toward the bag. Prado's got it. and throws out a rebate to end the inning, but the Mets go in front. From behind to in front on one big swing of Wilmer Flores' back. His 16th home run gives Steven Matz and the Mets a 3-2 late in the sixth. Which major league team has now gone the longest without a complete game? That snapped a streak of 223 games without one last night. Martin Prado takes outside ball one. Steven Matz beginning his sixth inning, and you would have to figure his final inning. Started the inning with 77 pitches. He was supposedly on a 90 to 95 pitch count today. And the Mets, with a fully rested bullpen, have Hansel Robles beginning to warm up in case Matz needs help here in the sixth. Now working with a 3-2 lead. Prado 1 for 2, single to right his last time. And Matz runs the fastball inside, 2-1. It has been a bit of a struggle for Steven Matz today. He's not had command of his fastball for a good portion of the day, but has scuffled his way through and given up 2 runs and 4 hits. Prado pops it up. Johnson calling, called off by Flores, who stays with it for the out. Caught it in foul territory, just barely. So Matz retires the leadoff hitter for just the 3rd time in 6 innings. And now he'll get Marcell Ozuna, who drove in the first Marlins run with a base hit in the first, then walked in the 4th. Steven Matz, by beating the Reds and the Dodgers, and some concern now as Terry Collins and Ray Ramirez are out toward the mound.
Blister.
Looking at his hand, maybe a blister problem. His left index finger is what they're looking at, and they're not going to go any further with him.
Not a blister. You're not going to make it worse.
So Matz's day comes to an abrupt end after he gets the first out in the 6th inning. He'll leave with the lead, with a chance to become the first Mets rookie pitcher ever to get victories in his first 3 big league games. Now it's up to the bullpen to try and hold that for him. Hansel Robles will come in. 3-2 Mets in the 6th. Steven Matz out of the game after 5 1/3 with an apparent blister on his left index finger. And so Hansel Robles comes in for him to face Marcell Ozuna. Here's his last pitch.
Yep. Well,
you saw his reaction.
That means he doesn't want to leave.
Well, every pitcher knows blisters can be troublesome. And better to get yourself out of there and
like it.
Go care for that blister rather than make it worse and risk missing more time.
I like the competitive fires. Yes.
Smack to center. Chasing Cespedes back. It's over his head and off the green wall. He barehands it and fires back in. But Ozuna able to step into second with a double. It's quite an effort by Cespedes. Do you think he thought he had a play at second?
He did.
From 415 feet away.
Threw a nice one hopper back into the infield. Ball was rocketed. Barehanded it off the wall. Two hop back to Tejada. And Ozuna has always seemed to rake the Mets.
2 for 2 in a walk today, so the tying run at second with 1 out. And Robles has himself a mess. Hansel pitched Friday night, worked a 1-2-3 8th inning. He'll face Casey McGee now with the tying run at second and 1 out. And the slider off the plate for ball 1. McGee is hit into a fielder's choice and line to right.
This has been the troubled waters for the Mets. That middle relief.
Well, this was by far the most difficult of Steven Matz's 3 big league starts. Uribe handles the grounder and Ozuna will hold. That's the second out. But even without great command today, Matt's able to go 5 1/3, allow only 2 runs and 4 hits, and really scuffle his way through.
Well, that's the things you look for, Gary. I said earlier. Not everything is set piece.
This is Derek Dietrich to pinch hit for the Marlins, hitting for the pitcher in the 6th spot in the batting order. Dietrich started the first 2 games of the series in left field and went 3 for 8.
It's actually a pretty good move right here by Dan Jennings, the manager of the Marlins, and it gets Dan Warthen out there to have a chat.
So Dario Alvarez getting up in the Mets bullpen. Alvarez has yet to throw a pitch for the Mets this year. He was up for a couple of days a few weeks ago and just rejoined the team for this series.
Well, you've got Rojas in the on-deck circle and an open base. So I'm sure Warthen's saying, hey, be smart here.
Dietrich is a very dangerous hitter. 10 home runs this year and limited at bats.
And what makes him dangerous, Gary, is a fastball hitter. And we got a fastball pitcher out there.
Ozuna the tying run at second with 2 out. And Dietrich takes a strike.
Good strike.
Tomorrow afternoon, the series in Washington commences with the Labor Day afternoon affair. John Neitz against Max Scherzer in the series opener. Our coverage begins at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon right here on SNY. Fastball fouled off. 96 from Robles, and he's ahead 0-2.
You know, Robles is hot and cold, and he has his good days, as you mentioned, Gary, and his bad days. But one thing's for certain, he's going to go after hitters. He's not going to nibble. That's why I like him.
The only quibble that they've had with Robles is getting him to throw his slider more, because there are times when he'll just throw nothing but fastballs. Ahead of the count on Dietrich, 0-2. Sailed that one away. Steven Matz, through his first 3 major league starts, now has a 1.89 ERA. And a chance to become the first Mets rookie ever to start his career with 3 wins in his first 3 appearances.
But he's got to sit in that dugout for 10 more outs. I'd like to see Tejada a little more shaded to the opposite field. Forget the runner, 2 outs. Keep the ball on the infield. Robles likes to pitch away. We've seen a lot of the hitters, including Dietrich, have the ability to go to left field. 2 strikes, they're going to be more protective of the plate. Tejada at shortstop, just take away that hole a little bit.
Two coming. And Dietrich skips over the slider. Did it hit him? Apparently it did. So Dietrich will go to first base in painful fashion.
Well, that gets the right-hander Rojas up.
Marlins trainer out to check on Dietrich, who's moving gingerly toward first.
Look at him on the foot.
With the ankle. No, right on the side of the foot. You're right.
He's fine.
Only hurt for a little while.
That's right. That got him good, though. I'd like it to be on the big foot, the big toe, excuse me, on the ball of the big toe.
For Robles, that's the first batter he's hit this year in 44 innings of work. And Dietrich is a guy who's kind of a magnet. The 11th time he's been hit, only had 180 at bats.
Well,
so 2 on and 2 out, and Miguel Rojas coming up. Rojas has grounded out and struck out today. 2 for 10 in the series, filling in for Danny Echeverria, and a big out for Robles to get here in the 6th.
Shaded to the opposite field in the outfield. Conforto taking the left center field gap away from Rojas.
And Rojas takes a slider for a strike. Jeff Mathis, who gave the Marlins a brief lead with a home run his last time up, is on deck. That's regained the lead on a 2-run homer by Wilmer Flores, and now Robles coming in for Matz, who left with a blister, trying to make that stand up in the 6th. Ball and a strike to Rojas. Ozuna at second, Dietrich at first, and 2 out. And Rojas grounds one right at Tejada, and the flip for the force to end the inning. Robles gets the job done. We're through 6. Mets up 3-2. That music remind you a little of an old Maxwell House ad? Perking coffee?
You know what would have been the perfect song? Oh, go ahead and read the billboards.
You'll get back to me on that. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Hyundai. Get in your comfort zone with the most advanced in laundry yet. Visit your Hyundai dealer today. By Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. And by State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the game is Steve Boyle of Connecticut. Contact Steve at agentsteveboyle.com. Ruben Tejada leads off against the new Marlins pitcher, Kyle Barraclough.
Well, Barraclough was impressive. The first game of the series, he came in relief in the 10th with 3 strikeouts. Hard thrower, hard slider.
Tejada has walked and grounded out today, 0 for 1. Barraclough, the third Marlins pitcher of the day. See his very impressive numbers through his first 13 big league games. 25 years old, out of St. Mary's College in California.
Yep. The Gales.
And that is how you spell Barraclough.
Threw it by Ruben. Wish Ruben wouldn't swing so hard.
Ruben was aiming for the Clevelander.
Good luck.
He's got 3 home runs this year. Of course, the last one was at about 155 feet.
Stay with the line drive, Ruben.
It's the Clevelander out in left field.
We need to get one of these days come down here and get a close-up of the Clevelander. There's a lot going on in there.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure how close we're allowed to get, especially on a Sunday afternoon. There's ball 4. So Barraclough, who threw strikes in his first outing of this series, unable to do so to Tejada, and the Mets have a leadoff base run.
Well, the Coors Light defense, we're resetting for you folks. Ichiro has been is in right field. He's been inserted in the game. Ozuna went to center. The same guys out there on that infield. I don't know why we're doing this. Of course, because we didn't do it. We missed it.
Really?
Now we have to make Coors Light happy. Of course.
We were defenseless. There's Kevin Plawecki, who's 1 for 2, and he's up there to bunt, throw to first, but McGee was nowhere near the bag. He was charging on the bunt, and so Tejada able to get back easily. Not sure what Mathis was thinking there.
And I agree with the bunt here. You'll pinch hit. You got to get another run, Gary.
And the guy on deck to pinch hit is Daniel Murphy, who I don't think we expected to see today. They were going to save him for tomorrow in the series in Washington, but Murphy is on deck. Murphy has not played in this series at all because of the quad problem that knocked him out the other day against the Phillies.
And looks like Mike Dunn is up for the Marlins, the left-hand veteran.
It usually works well for the Mets. Plawecki takes a strike. 1-1. Plawecki getting his first start for the Mets in 4 weeks. Got sent down to the minors. Was playing every day. Called back up when the rosters expanded, giving Travis d'Arnaud the day off. Prado charging from third, and Plawecki bunts it foul, and it's 1-2.
It's a tough call because Plawecki's a guy that's in his career as a hitter. He's in the minor leagues. He's never been asked to bunt. It's a tough spot. I know that when I was younger and I had to put the bunt on when I was very young in the big leagues, very few times, I was nervous as heck.
Well, you're not going to have bunting with 2 strikes, will you?
No. He's swinging the bat now.
Prado not convinced, stays in on the grass at third. Tejada at first and nobody out. And Plawecki takes the breaking ball inside 2-2. Well, the Braves are trying to fight back. It's now Washington 8, Atlanta 4.
Good.
As the Braves bat in the top of the 5th, so still Plenty of baseball to be played there.
A lot of game left, Gare. Take care of business right here.
Low and away with the slider. So Barraclough, after walking Tejada, got ahead of Pilecki trying to bunt, and now he's run a full count. Walks are on Barraclough's resume, but the Mets didn't see it the other night. 3-2 coming to Pilecki, and he fouls off the fastball. Coming into the day, Barraclough had walked 9 batters in 14 innings. Addison Reed on call in the Mets bullpen. Murphy on deck to pinch it. 3-2 to Plawecki, and the slider in, strike 3 call. 3-2 slider from Barraclough gets him looking for the first down.
Too close to take, Kevin. We'll see. He's got an argument.
So now Murphy to pinch it. His first plate appearance is Wednesday when he doubled against the Phillies and came out of the game after tweaking his quad. Same quad which cost him nearly a month on the disabled list earlier this season. So the Mets were cautious with it and sat him out for this entire series until this point.
Well, again, Murph's got to be very careful coming out of that box. It's a left quad. It's his back leg. So when you drive out of the box, and there's going to be a pitching change. When you drive out of the box, you're going to drive off that left leg, and there's Mike Dunn coming in. So just got to be very careful not to tweak that any further.
Dunn coming in for Murphy. We'll be right back to Miami.
His first appearance in this series gave it a 2-run home run in the first game to Cespedes that gave the Mets the 4-3 lead in the middle of that game.
He comes in to face Murphy, who's pinch hitting. Murphy's 5 for 17 in his career against Dunn.
Murph having an off year against left-handers. 234 and 107 at bats.
Tejada at first and 1 out. Mets up a run in the 7th. Murph takes a fastball for a strike. I would assume that Murph is only up there to hit, that if he gets on base, the Mets will run for him.
He's not going to run.
We want to make sure he is fully operational for tomorrow.
I almost thought Terry might pull him and put a right-hander up against Dunn.
You see his splits this year. He's been much more successful against lefties in the past.
But you know what? His hits against left-handers this year, he had a tough stretch early, but he drives in. He's good in the clutch against left-handers.
Double play ball right at Gordon, and the easy flip by Rojas with Murphy running half speed, and the 4-6-3 double play retires the side. 7th inning stretch, 3-2 New York.
See how he has to drive off that back left leg. That's the quad, and all that stress is on that first initial burst out of the box. And he took his time wisely there.
During today's game, you can get interactive with SNY Game Day on SNY.TV, featuring pitch-by-pitch coverage, player cards, and in-depth stats. Check out SNY Game Day on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Let's answer our Verizon trivia question. We asked which team has the longest current streak of games without a complete game. Well, that's your Miami Marlins. The Major League record for consecutive games without a complete game by a team is 407. That was the Milwaukee Brewers between 2011 and 2013. Addison Reed will pitch the 7th inning for New York. Reed's 4th outing with the Mets. The first 2 in non-leveraged situations went well. The last one in a highly leveraged situation did not
go well, and that was, of course, in the 6-5 loss here against the Marlins when he came in the 7th inning. Both inherited runners scored.
Gave him 2 hits and a walk in an inning of work. They'll face 8, 9, and 1 in the Miami batting order. That's Mathis, Ichiro Suzuki, and Gordon.
Well, here's that magical 7th inning, Gary, to get it to Clippard and Familia.
It has been troublesome, and the Mets are waiting for a hero. Mathis gave the Marlins a brief lead with a home run in the 5th inning, his first of the year, and he takes a slider from Reed for a strike. Well, you're heading toward a key series against the Nationals starting tomorrow afternoon. Ground ball for Tejada. Obviously, if Reed has a successful day today, that gives Terry Collins a little more confidence that he can handle this 7th inning. But if not, would you go into that series with Washington thinking about stretching Clippard and Familia to try and cover more of the 7th inning?
No, there's other options. There's Torres. There's Goodell. I like the fact that he's showing right now. I mean, they've made the move for Reed. Reed's a veteran. He's been a closer. So show the confidence in him.
Ichiro slaps one to left. On comes Conforto playing shallow. And that pays off for him. 2 out.
It's a little bit different, Gary. Starting an inning clean as opposed when he came in that first game.
Right, they brought in Gilmartin to face the lefties, and that didn't work.
Came in the 7th with ducks on the pond, you know.
So now D. Gordon, who's been on base twice with a single and a walk. He's stolen a base. He scored a run. 1 for 2 on the day. And Gordon takes a strike. Rebate creeping in along the line at third to guard against the bunt. And a slider in for a strike, and Reed gets up in the count 0-2. And Gordon wanders away, an unhappy customer. And Uribe still playing it with 2 strikes.
Interesting. Notice both corners guarding the line. Firmly anchored on that line.
Problem is with a guy like Gordon, if he pulls one through the hole into right, he might still get a double.
It's a possibility.
0-2 coming. Over the mound. Tough play for Flores against the speed of Gordon.
Wow.
No way. He's just too fast. So Gordon aboard for the 3rd time today.
Nothing you can do about that. Wilmer charges it as hard as he can and throws on the run, and it's man's lightning. He smelled that hit.
You think he's faster than Billy Hamilton?
I haven't seen enough of Hamilton, Gary, to make that comparison. What do you think?
I think they're neck and neck.
Okay.
Well, you know he's got to try and steal a base here. And Reed knows it too.
You've got Yelich, who uses all fields. I don't want Uribe too far off that line at third base. The odds are against it, but gosh, I just don't want that double.
Yelich 0 for 3 today. Slide step by Reed, and Yelich pounds one through the hole. Gordon will stop at second. So back-to-back 2-out hits for the Marlins, and now the tying run in scoring position for Martin Prado.
Well, he's a good-looking hitter. He's a youngster, and if he puts on some weight as he gets older and matures, he just looks he's very lean right now. And here's a tough out. The guy, big tough out in Prado.
Well, he had the game-winning hit against the Mets in the 11th inning on Friday night.
And they're not going to guard the lines. So you got Kelly Johnson off the line again on Prado.
Great speed on the bases with Gordon at second, Yelich at first, and 2 out.
And you got to pound him in.
Gordon dancing off second, trying to distract Reed. And he bounces the slider to Prado, 1-0. Zuna would be next. So with Gordon aboard at first, Reed went to a slide step and gave up a base hit. With Gordon dancing off second, he bounced a slider in the dirt. I wonder whether his attention is split. And now he falls behind Prado 2-0.
Can't worry about Gordon. He's got to go after the hitter.
He is a disruptor.
And that goes for the corner infielders too. He's already in scoring position. You want to make sure you can cover as much ground as you can.
Prado takes a rip at a fastball and fouls it back 2-1. Prado 7 hits in 13 at bats in this series, including his first career 5-hit game on Friday night. Two-one from Reed. Foul back.
Good rip by Prado. That's it. Go after him. This is right into Prado's strength, but he's a high ball hitter, more of a high ball hitter. Keep the ball down on him.
Well, Addison Reed is searching for his first defining moment as a Met. This would be a big one here, trying to protect a 1-run lead in the 7th. Two on, 2 out, 2-2 to Prado. Fouled away.
Prado's just protecting the plate. Crowd him. Tough strikeout. Tough 2-strike hitter. Line drive hitter. Gonna do him a major favor throwing him away.
Again, the 2-2.
Yep. Strike 3 call. 95 on the block, and Addison Reed gets a king-sized out in the bottom of the 7th.
3-2 New York going to the 8th. Down 2-1. Went in front on a 2-run homer by Wilmer Flores in the 6th. Robles and Reed have kept the Marlins off the scoreboard behind Steven Matz. Now the Mets come up in the 8th against Mike Dunn. And Curtis Granderson up for the 4th time. Takes ball 1. Granderson 0 for 3 today. 1 for 6 in the series. He walked against Dunn on Friday night, setting the stage for Cespedes' home run. Cespedes on deck. Conforto behind him. Ball and a strike. Mets 3 runs, 7 hits. The Marlins 2 runs, 7 hits. Well, the Mets, if nothing else, have the game where they want it, which is to say the lead, and now Clippard and Familia both available for the 8th and 9th. That doesn't mean they wouldn't like to tack on significantly.
Right.
Clippard getting ready. Now it's 3-1 to Granderson. It's been rough for Curtis against lefties this year, but he's still gotten his share of walks, as he did against Dunn the other night. Mets will face all right-handers in Washington. Good cut by Granderson. 3-2. Here's your Mets box score, brought to you by Sleepy's. Cespedes hit the home run in the first. Conforto with a couple of doubles. But Flores the big hit, the 2-run shot in the 6th that put the Mets in front. And Granderson is on with a walk again.
You know what? Curtis has not hit left-handers well at all. Under 200, well under 200, but he manages to get his walks in the situations where he's leading off, and this is what you want.
71st walk he's drawn this year. Brian Morris getting ready in the Marlins bullpen, but it looks like they'll keep the lefty in to face Cespedes, who has struggled as well against lefties this year. He's 2 for 3 today and had a base hit against the left-hander Narvis in his last time up. Homered back in the first, so he's 2 for 3. Last 5 games, Cespedes 9 for 22 with 4 home runs. He's just been on fire. Michael Conforto on deck. Going to get his second straight at bat against the lefty. Mathis setting up inside, and Cespedes takes a strike right to the glove from Dunn. 0-2. Dunn came in the 7th, got Murphy to grind into a double play, but now he's walked Granderson to start the 8th. But he strikes out Cespedes with a high hard one, and that's the first out of the inning. Let's check in with the studio. Jonas Schwartz has a game break. Braves just wasted a runner in scoring position in the top of that 6th inning, trying to get closer. Here's Conforto, 2 for 3, a pair of opposite field doubles today. His last time up, though, against the left-hander Narvis, he struck out. And Dunn starts him off on the outside corner, 0-1. Granderson at first and 1 out.
Well, I mentioned earlier that when Conforto faced the left-hander, Narvis is struck out. When you haven't faced left-handers, when you get rusty, you start chasing bad breaking balls. It's not that you don't pick up the spin. It's just you rush out after it. You're not comfortable, and you get quick. It's hard to explain.
Granderson gets picked off. McGee's throw on the money, and Rojas puts the tag on Granderson. 2 out. 1-3-6 on the caught stealing.
Well, good idea by Curtis. Sometimes I think those pitchers have like ESP when they throw over there at the right time.
Fifth time this year Granderson's been thrown out. He's stolen 11. So 2 out and nobody on for Conforto.
Good cut right there, just under it.
Well, when you get picked off by a lefty, consult a lefty. John Deasy's great at holding base runners. And Conforto down on strikes for the second time. So done with a successful outing for an inning and 2/3. Keeps it a 3-2 game in the middle of the 8th. Juan Lagares, that's not him. There he is. Lagares playing center. He'll bat 9th. And the new pitcher Tyler Clippard will hit 3rd.
Well, Clippard has been the bridge, and as Gary and I said, he's the unsung hero of all the moves that Alderson has made. Without him, this club would be in trouble. He has been phenomenal out of the bullpen, handing it off to Mr. Familia.
Clippard pitched a scoreless 9th inning in the game on Friday night. And he has been wonderful as a Met and even better for his career in this ballpark. Good changeup to start off Ozuna, who has been on base 3 straight times. Single, walk, double. Drove in the first Marlins run back in the 1st inning. I mentioned it the other night, and it's stunning that Clippard has never given up a run in this ballpark. And that covers a lot of territory from all his days as a National.
Well, he's been around. There's no doubt about it. Been here a long time. This is his role he's most comfortable in, as that bridge.
Casey McGee on deck, then the pitcher's spot for the Marlins. 0-2 to Ozuna, and it's taken high. The Marlins still have Justin Bour left in the dugout. That gives them that big left-handed power bat to try and do damage against Clippard here in the 8th. But more than most right-handers, Clippard is very effective at getting lefties out with that great changeup. Ozuna hits one in the air to left center. Cespedes ranges over. 1 out. Every time Cespedes does that underhand flip, it reminds me of Manny Trio. Remember Manny Trio playing second base? He used to do that submarine flip to first.
He used to do it on the double play.
Yeah. Even on a routine ground ball. Just a quick sidearm submarine toss. Here's Casey McGee, who's 0 for 3. And as predicted, Justin Bour is out on deck to pinch hit. Down the right field line. Granderson over for a look, but that's in the crowd. Well, there are the incredibly consistent numbers for Tyler Clippard over the last 5 years. He's been asked to close at times. He was earlier this year in Oakland, but has been best suited to that 8th inning role. Remember when we first saw him as a Yankee, it was a starting pitcher.
Yes.
It was a Sunday night game against the Mets, and he made his major league debut as a starter. 0-2 to McGee, and he bounces that change up 1-2. One-two to McGee. Fouls back the fastball. Steven Matz went 5 1/3 in his return to action today, I believe because of a blister. Threw only 81 pitches, allowed 2 runs, 4 hits. He's in line for the win. Bullpen has already gotten him 6 outs. They need 5 more. Robles got 2 of them. Reed 3. McGee off the end of the bat. Flores has got it. 2 out. Well, we mentioned earlier no Met rookie has won his first 3 games as a Met. Mike Pelfrey was the last to win his first 2, and Matz joined him on that list with those other 3. McDowell, reliever. Selma, I think 1 was a starter, 1 was a reliever. Gentry were both as a starter.
Dick Selma could throw hard. Little guy threw hard.
But nobody's won their first 3 appearances as a Mets rookie, and Matz has a chance to do that with 4 more outs from the bullpen. First, Justin Bour to face Clippard as a pinch hitter. Bour started the first 2 games of the series at first base, 3 for 9. It's been a very pleasant surprise for the Marlins. Their main power source with Giancarlo Stanton out of the lineup. Ball and a strike. Miguel Rojas would be next.
And Bour launches one to deep right field. Forget it. Into the upper deck. Justin Bour ties the game with a pinch hit home run. Tyler Clippard gives up his first run ever at Marlins Park. And the Marlins tie the game at 3.
There's your. Oh boy. That was a bomb.
'16th home run of the year for Bour. His first as a pinch hitter. And he gets the Marlins even.
Didn't get it away enough. Fastball. Changeup. Stayed back. Well, he's strong.
That is the first pinch hit home run hit by any Marlin this season. How about that? And it went way back in that second deck.
Halfway up.
So Steven Matz will not get the win today. Only the second earned run Tyler Clippard has given up as a Met. Rojas pops one up into shallow center. Lagares comes in to get it, and that retires the side. So Tyler Clippard stumbles. A changeup up, and Justin Bour all over it. 3-3 game going to the ninth. After giving up his second home run as a Met, the only 2 earned runs he's allowed since joining the ball club. A no doubter to Justin Bour. Now A.J. Ramos, tie game, 9th inning, will come in to face Wilmer Flores. And the Met fans getting themselves in an uproar. And Wilmer takes a slider for a strike. Wilmer hit the 2-run homer that put the Mets in front in the 6th. And it stayed that way until Bour tied it with 2 out in the 8th. And Wilmer gets under this one to left field. Yelich under it. 1 out. Ramos on Friday night retired his first 2 hitters in the 9th looking for a save, and then gave up 3 straight hits as the Mets rallied to tie it, and it was Kelly Johnson who had the game tying hit.
That was that 2-out rally.
Johnson shattered his bat but snuck it up the middle to get that tying run home on Friday night. 0 for 3 today, and Ramos sells one outside. Juan Uribe on deck. Change up by Ramos, 1-1. Jerry's Familia getting ready in case there's a save chance. Dario Alvarez, if there isn't. 1-2 to Johnson.
Change up away. Fastball in.
Two and 2. Ramos, the 5th pitcher of the afternoon for the Marlins. The starter Jarred Cozart pulled after 4 2/3 in his first start in 2 months. Narveson gave up the 2-run homer to Flores. Barraclough, and Dunn took it from there. Now a full count to Johnson with 1 out in the ninth. Three-two coming, and it's too high. Ball 4, and Johnson draws the walk. So the Mets have a 1-out base runner in the ninth, and Juan Uribe coming up. Eric Young is going to run for Johnson at first base, carrying that go-ahead run. So EY in a spot that cries out for a stolen base.
Eric, every time he's pinch ran, he's tried to steal a base. Thought you could put a hit and run on here with Uribe if you get a count.
Ramos has given up 2 stolen bases this year, none caught. Uribe 1 for 3 today, a long double back in the 4th. Eric has only 3 stolen bases in the major leagues this year. He played with the Braves earlier this season and just wasn't getting on base at all. Wound up in the minors, eventually traded to the Mets. He's been caught in his only stolen base attempt since returning.
Very deep outfield by the Marlins.
Off the plate to Uribe, ball 1. Prado right on the line at third. And now it's 2-0. So after walking Johnson, Ramos falls behind Uribe 2-0. Ruben Tejada next.
This has always been Ramos's problem. He gets behind the count, can walk people. Got a great arm.
Uribe had a hit against Ramos in that 2-out rally Friday night. 2 for 4 in his career against him. And he takes the pitch in the dirt. Young will stay put. Now it's 3-0 to Uribe. Mathis is going to go out for a conversation. Missed badly with that 2-0 breaking ball.
Crowd is picking up.
And you got Met fans on one side, the Marlins fans on the other side trying to shout him down, but the Met fans, I think, have him outnumbered. That's led 1-0, trailed 2-1, led 3-2. Marlins tied in the 8th. Let's try to find their way back into the lead in the 9th. 3-0 to Uribe. There goes Young. The pitch outside for ball 4. And the Mets have 2 men on. Neither Young nor Gordon knew that it was ball 4. Now they do. So back-to-back walks issued by Ramos, and the Mets have the tie-breaking run in scoring position with 1 out. And Ruben Tejada coming up. And Chuck Hernandez, the pitching coach, coming out. There's nobody up in the Marlins bullpen. This is Ramos is in it. Well, it would seem as though you have a lot of options here. You've got Eric Young at second base, who's perfectly capable of trying to steal third.
Yes.
You can play hit and run with Tejada. You can play hit and run with Tejada.
I don't like the hit and run with Tejada. He can not put 2 guys on. I like the idea of if Young gets a jump to try to steal third, and Uribe doesn't have to necessarily follow him.
But what you want more than anything else is to stay out of the double play.
What I want is Tejada to choke up and take a short swing. Look at the outfield defense has come in properly now against Tejada. Remember, you've got some strong arms out there in Ichiro and Ozuna. Ichiro in right and Ozuna in center. But they've got a very fast runner in Young.
Young at second, Uribe at first, 1 out. Tejada's walked twice today, otherwise 0 for 1. Ruben takes the curveball inside. Ball one. Kevin Plawecki hitting 8th in the order. It's only have one left-handed bat on their bench, and that's Kirk Neuenhuis. They used Daniel Murphy earlier. Young at second, Uribe at first. And the breaking ball swung and missed. Tim Teufel is asking Eric Young to get a bigger lead off second base. He was being very conservative on that last pitch.
Tough way down the line.
Gordon is sort of eyeing him, but not really. He can get further off. One. Tejada bounces one to the left side. Rojas on his back has no play, and the bases are loaded. Rojas's only play would have been to third, but he would have had to be so quick with Young running. And once his feet came out from under him, he had no play.
And a tough chance because Prado went after the ball. Now he runs back. It's a tough chance.
Yeah, he wasn't going to get
there. Nowhere near the bag. So Mets are in business.
Bases loaded, one out, and now Travis d'Arnaud is going to bat for Kevin Plawecki. So Travis was getting the day off today, but he's been the hottest hitter in the Mets lineup. 4 RBIs last night, including a 3-run homer. In his last 3 games, he is 7 for 11.
This is d'Arnaud's first pinch hit of the season, Gary.
Doesn't take a very deep fly ball to get Young home from third. Uribe at second, Tejada at first. So d'Arnaud batting for Plawecki, who went 1 for 3 today. And Travis takes one in the dirt. Good stop by Mathis. Otherwise, the Mets would have the lead.
Well, I just can't believe that Ramos here is throwing all of his secondary pitches. He can't get him over. Now d'Arnaud can sit fastball up the middle. All that's needed is a sacrifice fly.
d'Arnaud 2 for 3 in his career against Ramos. 2 walks and an infield hit have loaded the bases with 1 out. 3-3 top of the 9th. Breaking ball hit toward the hole, but cut off by Prado. Out at second. Gordon's relay in time. The Marlins turn 2, and the Mets are turned aside. The Marlins turn their 3rd infield double play of the day. 5-4-3 to get Ramos through trouble in the top of the 9th. The bottom of the 9th, tied at 3. And Eric Campbell will play first base. So after using d'Arnaud to bat for Plawecki, they bring in Recker to catch the bottom of the ninth.
And that leaves a very short bench and no catcher. Very interesting. I'm a little surprised.
I know Terry wanted to give d'Arnaud the day off, but it's a little odd, especially in a tie game, to take your best bat out. Anyway, Tyler Clippard stays on to pitch the bottom of the ninth. Jeff Mathis leads off. Thinking about a bunt, takes a strike. Mathis hit a home run back in the 5th inning, his first of the year. Mets had a 3-2 lead in the 8th, but Clippard gave up a 2-out home run to Justin Bour that tied the game, and then the Mets, after loading the bases in the top of the 9th, were unable to score. Ichiro Suzuki on deck, and then D. Gordon. And Clippard gets ahead on Mathis 0-2. So the Mets are left in the dugout now with only David Wright, who's getting the day off, and Kirk Neuenhuis. They used everybody else
because Kadire can't perform.
You know, the shot in his wrist today, so he's out for at least a couple of days. Swung and missed, but it goes to the backstop, and Mathis reaches safely. So a strikeout wild pitch puts the potential winning run on base.
Recker backhands instead of blocks on the curveball.
Thought maybe we'd get a pinch runner for Mathis, and now we will. It's going to be JT Realmuto, who is the regular catcher and is a lot faster than Mathis. So Realmuto will run for Mathis, carrying the potential winning run. Ichiro Suzuki, the batter. You don't suppose they'd ask a guy with over 2,900 hits to bunt, would you?
No, I don't think they would. And maybe you put a hit and run on.
Uribe is way in at third, as though he's looking for a bunt. Ichiro 0 for 2 off the bench today, and he does square and takes a strike. Coming up tonight, Geico Sports Night. Everything New York sports and beyond. 10:30 right here on SNY. Ichiro has 44 sacrifice bunts in his career, but now he's down to the count 0-2. 3 of those sacrifices have come this season. And Steven Matz, he's still looking at that blister, which knocked him out of the game in the 6th. Super glue works wonders, by the way. Back in Nolan Ryan's day, they used pickle brine.
Right.
He had all sorts of blister problems early in his career. 0-2 to Ichiro. And he takes it up and away. D. Gordon's been a real pest for the Mets all season, and again today he's on deck. Ichiro has 2 hits and 4 career at bats against Clippard.
Well, Clippard in his 2nd inning of work. Something he doesn't do. Usually an inning guy, but
will
this is
will that affect his availability tomorrow?
I think Terry in a perfect world would not want to use him, but if he has to, you got to go to the whip here, Gare. This last month of the season.
In the dirt, knocked down by Recker. 2-2 to Suzuki.
Gets in front of this curve.
Gary's looking over his lineup card. There's nobody up in the Mets bullpen right now. They had Dario Alvarez up while the Mets were batting. Thinking about the left-hand hitters, but not now. 2-2 coming, and it's way high. 3-2. So Clippard got up in the count 0-2 on Ichiro when he was trying to bunt. Now, since he's gotten to hitting, he's run the count full. Ichiro is not a guy who strikes out much. You wonder, would they send Real Muto in this spot?
Yes. Tie ball game, you could, because Ichiro's tough to strike out.
Not going, and Ichiro does strike out on the high fastball. Chased the pitch out of the strike zone. A big first out for Clippard.
Well, fortunate for Dan Jennings that he did not send Real Muto. That's ball 4 right there.
So now 1 out and 1 on, and D. Gordon the batter. D, despite the ugly socks, has been on base 3 times today with a walk and 2 hits. He's stolen a base. He's scored a run. And again, Uribe creeps in from third base. Gordon always a threat to lay one down. He strokes that one foul. Yelich on deck. Clippard now has 26 hits against the Mets this year in 16 games. Gordon does.
It's that toward the hole. That's through for a base hit. Real Muto will go first to third. And now Gordon has 27 hits against the Mets this year, and the Marlins have the potential winning run at third with 1 out.
Good hitting, up fast, up changeup, staying back on the changeup. When Real Muto, the ball not hit that hard, no doubt going to third. When Clippard is most, there's a Gordon all fired up. When Clippard is most effective, Gary, he also has a good curveball. He hasn't been able to get it over. And remember, he's had the strikeout that got by on a curveball in the dirt that started this inning.
Well, the Marlins, who won in walk-off fashion on Friday night, have a chance to do it again.
They got to walk Yelich and pitch to Prado. So we'll see who they want to pitch to.
Well, Prado had the game-winning hit on Friday night. Yelich would be a tough man to double up. So if you do pitch to him, you can't play back a double play depth.
They're going to pitch to him.
Where are they going to play the infield?
No, they're going to. Well, they have to walk him. The bases are loaded. You load the bases always. You bring the outfield in.
Now the question is, will you bring in a 5th infielder? Maybe bring in Lagares to play on the infield and go with 5 infielders to give you a better chance to guard both lines and take away the base hit through the infield that could win the game. We'll know in a moment whether Terry will do that. He's tried that before.
And they got a very tough out in Mr. Prado.
So Yelich gets the intentional pass. And now the bases are loaded with 1 out. Prado coming up, and let's see whether the Mets go to the 5-man infield.
I don't believe they are. See no motioning from the bench. Oh.
Well, Prado had a base hit against Clippard on Friday night. It was only his 2nd hit in 22 career at bats against Clippard. Mets will bring their infield most of the way in.
Flores has got to come in a little bit more.
Real Muto is the potential winning run at third base. Mets will go with a conventional 4-man infield. Prado 1 for 4 today. Drove in the winning run on Friday night. And now time called. And Recker's going to go out to the mound. This would be a nasty game for the Mets to lose.
It would be. And the same guy to beat you twice in the series.
Well, they got through the difficult part of their bullpen. Robles and Reed able to get them to the 8th, and Clippard got the first 2 outs in the 8th, but then gave up the home run to Bourne. Now being asked to pitch a second inning and in danger right here. And Prado takes ball 1.
First pitch in this situation is always critical. Either it's a strike, you get out of the box, you don't waste any time. The pitcher misses with a secondary pitch. It's 1-0. You're in a good spot as a hitter.
The outfield playing only as deep as they can throw. A fly ball over their heads would win the game anyway. And Prado bounces one just foul. Woo. That was within inches of being a game winner. See, this is why I like the 5-man infield.
Yeah,
because you can spread to both lines and still keep the middle covered. Prado was such a line-to-line guy.
The issue here is there's such a big ballpark, such a big outfield.
Yeah, that is
expose yourself.
One-on-one to Prado. And he whacks one down to third. It's a foul ball right at the bag, but Laz Diaz said foul.
It's the right call.
This is shades of Tampa Bay. Remember?
Yes. The close play on the bag.
I remember Uribe had 2 balls in a row hit to him where he made the play and then it was called foul, but this was definitely foul. Not sure it was Diaz's call because the ball hadn't reached the bag. It should have been the home plate umpire Chris Guccione's call. Nonetheless, it was a foul ball. Now it's 1-2 to Prado.
Uribe staying set in his position. In at the corner.
1-2.
Nice block. He's lacking that curveball. He'd love to have his curveball today. Clippard, it's not there. He can't find the range. He's been throwing it in the dirt.
Recker, after having one bounce by him to start the inning, has blocked a couple in the dirt. He may have to block another. Bases loaded, 1 out, 3-3 last of the ninth. Two from Clippard. First he'll step off.
Two veterans here. They've been down this road before.
And for the most part, Clippard has had the upper hand. But Prado having himself quite a series and trying to put on a capper. 2-2 coming. A little high. And now Clippard has run out of breathing space. Two. Fouled away. Came at him with 3-2 heat.
He has no option here. This is a battle right here. Veteran hitter, good tough out, tough pitcher.
I mean, does he have any option but to throw his fastball here?
He can throw his changeup. If he does, he's got some guts. Don't forget, Prado's protecting the plate.
Again, the 3-2. Popped up foul. That'll come out of play. And the battle continues.
And this all started with a strikeout that was in the dirt. That was not handled by Recker behind the plate.
Then Gordon found the hole, chasing Real Muto to third. An intentional walk filled him up. And now the count is filled as well.
Good step out by Prado. All the pressure's on the pitcher here, most of it.
8th pitch of the at bat coming from Clippard to Prado. Foul back.
This is good stuff.
How many more does Clippard have in his quiver?
If he throws a changeup here on him, I don't know if he would fool the whole house.
That'll be a good one. (3-2). Pop foul. He did come with a changeup.
Got it up in the strike zone. He did throw the change, but he got it up. Gets a little bit dicier when you have to throw a strike. In a pressurized situation, ball 4, the ball game's over.
Can be a little nerve-wracking. Clippard getting ready to throw his 10th pitch to Prado. With the bases loaded, 1 out. Tie game, 9th inning. Prado fouls off another fastball.
What a battle.
This is something. Clippard threw 14 pitches in the 8th inning. Is about to throw his 26th pitch in the 9th. Being asked to do some extra labor right before the Mets are starting a big series in Washington. It would be worth it if he can get a huge out here. One more time. And one more foul ball. 11 pitches deep and still going.
Clippard wants a chat. He's asked Recker to come out. I think he's just got to come inside and try to get him inside with a fastball.
He may need a breather. This has been laborious. The Nationals are in the bottom of the 8th, leading Atlanta 8-4. Mets will get on the plane for D.C. when this one's over, but they would like to play a little extra baseball. 12th pitch of the at bat from Clippard to Prado. Line to left, right at Cespedes. He makes the grab, tagging is Real Muto. He comes home and scores the winning run. And the Marlins have their second walk-off win in the series. And again, it's Prado who drives in the game-winning run as Miami takes the rubber game, winning today 4-3.
Well, what a battle. The final at bat by Prado. Fouled off I don't know how many pitches. I've lost count. And this is a real tough loss for the Mets. But Prado is the man of the hour.
A 12-pitch confrontation between Tyler Clippard and Martin Prado. And Prado, who stamped his imprint on this series on Friday night, wins the battle and wins the game for Miami. The Mets are keeping the umpires on the field because I think they are appealing and saying that Real Muto left third base too soon.
He has no reason to leave early. Cespedes leaping for the ball. No reason to leave early.
No. Yeah, he stayed on the bat.
He's fine.
He was ready to go because he thought at one point the ball might go over Cespedes' head, but he did not leave too early. And the Mets will not take their case any further. And so Miami does get the victory. They win it 4-3, and there's every chance that the Mets will have just a 4-game lead when they get to Washington.
A change-up, Gary. The 12th pitch in the at-bat, as you said. Just a terrific professional at-bat by Martin Prado. And Cespedes with the leap, and once he had to do that, forget it. But look at the throw.
Well, he's got an amazing arm. Playing shallow because anything over your head's a game winner anyway. But he got enough on the throw, but not enough to get Real Muto. And the Marlins pull this one out. Game where the Mets had to come from behind. Wilmer Flores hit a home run in the 6th inning that gave the Mets a lead. The part of the bullpen that has struggled this year was able to hold it through the 6th and 7th after Steven Matz left with a blister, but Tyler Clippard, with his first stumble as a Met, gives up the tying home run to Bohr in the 8th and the game winner to Prado in the 9th, as the Marlins win it 4-3 and take 2 out of 3 in the series.
Real tough series here, hard-fought series, and the Marlins, they're just playing the season out. Give them credit. They played the Mets very tough. Clippard came into this series, had never given up a run in his career. Well, he gave up 2 tonight. The pinch hit home run. He's protecting a 1-run lead. In the 8th inning, gives up the bomb to Bohr, who's pinch hit. The big strong guy got a change up away and then got himself in trouble. But the inning in the bottom of the 9th started with a strikeout. That record did not properly block in the dirt, and that got the inning going. Then a base hit followed, 1st and 3rd, intentional walk, and then the marathon at bat with Prado.
Well, let's not forget the top of the 9th when the Mets threatened the bases loaded, 1 out. Travis d'Arnaud came up to pinch hit, grounded into the double play, and then oddly was not left in the game. They brought Recker in instead, and Terry then goes to Clippard for a 2nd inning, which probably takes him out of the 1st and maybe the 2nd game of the National Series.
Well, probably because of how he really had to work hard in that 9th inning, in his 2nd inning of work. I got to believe tomorrow he might not be available, or you get a well-pitched ball game, you're not going to need him. The Mets have to go in for a tough series here. They're going to have to pick themselves up. They got to get on an airplane and go to Washington. Looks like Washington's probably going to hang on 8-4 against the Braves, a 4-game sweep. They're riding high. So the Mets go in there. It's going to be a tremendous 3-game series.
Well, when the Mets finished their action on Wednesday against the Phillies, they were 6.5 in front. They may go into Washington only 4 games in front if the Nats hang on and win their game today. Final score this afternoon: the Marlins 4 and the Mets 3. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Cure Auto. 25 years of saving you money. Cure Auto Insurance. Drive well. By Pepsi, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball. By Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Fidelis Care, quality health coverage. It's our mission. And by People's United Bank, North America, where their know-how starts with knowing you. Final score this afternoon: the Marlins 4 and the Mets 3. Tomorrow, the opener of the series in Washington. Labor Day afternoon, John Neese against Max Scherzer. Our coverage begins at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon, right here on SNY. Now for Keith Hernandez, Steve Gelbs, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen in Miami, where the Marlins take 2 of 3. Time for WB Mason Post Game Live. Let's join Jonas Schwartz and Jim Duquette.